Why have you supported the Arab Spring in Tunisia, Yemen, Egypt and other countries, but not in Syria?
Clear reasons. First, as in principle, we don't want to interfere in the affairs of Arab states. This has always been our policy. There have been developments in the Arab world have been very serious and very important, to an extent that nobody, no movement, no party can just not take a position regarding them. In Syria, everybody knows that Bashar al-Assad's regime has supported the resistance in Lebanon, supported the resistance in Palestine. It has not backed down in the face of Israeli and American pressure. So it is a regime which serves the Palestinian cause very well. What we call for in Syria is dialogue, is a reform, and for the reforms to be carried out, because the alternative to that, because of the diversity inside Syria, because of the sensitivity of the situations in Syria, the alternative is to push Syria into civil war. And this is exactly what America and Israel want for Syria.
Saeed, over the weekend, over 100 people killed in Homs, including a journalist I had dinner with a year ago, Mary Colvin. I can understand your logic in saying that we should not just destroy a country for no purpose. And it is much better to reform a country if possible. But does Hezbollah have a red line? If there are 100,000 people killed, 1 million people killed, when will Hezbollah say that that is enough?
From the beginning of the events in Syria, we've had constant contact with the Syrian leadership, and we've spoken as friends, giving each other advice about the importance of carrying out reforms. Right from the beginning, I personally found that President Assad was very willing to carry out radical and important reforms, and this used to reassure us regarding the positions that we took. At more than one occasion, publicly, I used to give speeches and say this exactly. And in my meetings with various Lebanese and Arab and other political leaders, I used to tell them the same thing, that I am confident that President Assad wants reform, and he will carry out reforms, realistic, genuine reforms. But the opposition has to agree to dialogue. I'll say more than this. This is the first time I say this. We contacted even elements of the opposition to encourage them and to facilitate the process of dialogue with the regime. But these parties rejected dialogue. And right from the beginning, we've had a regime that is willing to undergo reforms and prepared for dialogue. On the other side, you have an opposition which is not prepared for dialogue and it's not prepared to accept any of the reforms. All it wants is to bring down the regime. So this is a problem. Another thing, what's happening in Syria has to be, we have to look at it with two eyes, not just with one eye. The armed groups in Syria have killed very many civilians.
Where do you see the Syrian situation going? What should we do to stop the killing in Syria? You have spoken about dialogue, and dialogue is very easy to talk about. But are there practical measures to stop the bloodshed occurring in Syria?
In the previous question, there's something I didn't mention, but I'll add it to this answer. There's certainly states that offer money, that provide weapons, which are encouraging fighting inside Syria. And some of these are Arab countries, and there are non-Arab countries as well. This is from one side. There's a very serious issue as well, which is confirmed, and we all heard Dr. Ayman al-Zawahiri, the Al-Qaeda leader, when he called for fighting in Syria, to arms in Syria. So there are fighters from Al-Qaeda who have arrived in Syria, and others that are following them from various countries, and they are trying to turn Syria into a battleground. The country